Really appreciate y'all coming out tonight. A couple little housekeeping stuff before we get started. There is a restroom out in the front lobby. If you go out, it'll be to your left in the corner. I'm going to ask that y'all turn y'all cell phones on silent or vibrate. If you do get a call and you need to do it, if you would, please just step out in the hallway. And that's pretty much all I got for there. Before we get started, I want to introduce Chief Ken Adcox, the police chief here for our city, and he's going to say a couple words before we get started.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to welcome everybody here this evening. We know that this is a very busy time of year and that your schedules are packed, and you've got a lot of places that you could be tonight, but you chose to come here and be with us to, learn something new. There's a couple of topics that are going to be presented tonight. The first one we're going to talk about is active shooter. And then we're going to follow that up with a discussion about the new open carry law. And I've been kind of polling the audience here as people have been coming through. And it sounds like we have a good mixture of people that have interest in these different areas. Some people are primarily here to hear about the active shooter part. And some people are primarily here to hear about the open carry part. Interestingly enough, though, is that both of those presentations kind of melt into each other. They have a lot of common elements. So I think everybody will get something out of both presentations, and I'm hoping everybody will stay here for the duration. So we're going to be given the first presentation on active shooter. And essentially, in a layperson's definition of active shooter, that's about the person who, with the intention of harming others, goes into a workplace or a school and is actively assaulting other people, usually with a firearm. Right? We have read and we have seen in the media these things happening across the country, and I know everybody's concerned with them. And believe me, nobody's more concerned about situations like that than law enforcement. And there really isn't any reason why that couldn't occur in our community or any other community in our great nation. So we are trying to do our part in the city of LaPorte to inform our citizens. Two things that we're hoping that you will get out of this. Number one is that the LaPorte Police Department has done our part as an agency to prepare as much as you can for a situation like that. We've got a police department that's the appropriate size for our community. All of our officers are appropriately trained in that specific scenario. They've had active shooter training. They have the right equipment, and we have the right partnerships in place, because an incident like that will quickly overwhelm the resources of virtually any agency, especially an agency that's our size, a mid-sized agency. So we have the appropriate partnerships in place with all the other emergency services in our city, with all of our state, local, and federal partners that would quickly come in to assist us with a situation like that. So we've prepared for that. We have an active shooter scenario. We commonly have one. We have one coming up in February that's going to be a full-scale exercise. And so we're doing that. Tonight's presentation is about taking that one step further and trying to help our citizens, know how would you respond to that sort of a situation. God forbid, if you found yourself, in the midst of one of those situations, how are you going to respond during those couple of minutes while you're waiting for the law enforcement, element to get there and address the situation? How are you going to respond to that? While you're waiting for our law enforcement officers to get there. It probably will be 2, 3, 4 minutes, but I promise you it'll be like an eternity. So we want to try and train our citizens. How do you respond and get through that first couple of minutes until we can get there and help address that? And we're going to we've got a resident expert who's going to come and give a presentation. He's got a really great video. After that, we're going to follow it up with this concealed handgun and open carry handgun. And we've got a couple of experts that we'll introduce right before that presentation that can answer, I promise you, any question that you might have in that area. So one thing I'll cover when it comes to active shooter, and then I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Stewart, and that is that the philosophy in law enforcement has drastically changed over the last decade when it comes to active shooters. It used to be in law enforcement, we train no matter what the situation is, get there, take a deep breath, get organized, establish your command post, get all your appropriate resources on scene, and then respond. And of course, we know that doesn't work very well when you have somebody in a building shooting people. So there's no time for law enforcement to get there, say, okay, here's a command post, let's get all of our elements, get the specialized units here, the SWAT teams and all of that, and then go in and take care of business. people died during that amount of time. So now the training is, and the protocol is in law enforcement, is the first officers that get to the scene when it's an active situation, they get in. They go in immediately to address the threat and take care of it, and neutralize that person who's causing harm, so that and then we can get organized and take it from there, and help the wounded and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I'd ask you to focus on, is that change of philosophy that you'll see. So without further ado, I'm going to turn over the active shooter portion of this to Sergeant Stewart. And again, he's been a law enforcement officer for 20 years. We consider him to be one of our resident experts on this topic. He's had, as you can see, just look at him, he's a monster. He's had all the tactical training that you can imagine. And he's one of our training supervisors, and he's now the supervisor over our support services section. So, and he's given these presentations dozens of times. So, Sergeant Stewart, you want to come here and
Thank you.
take over?
Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. A couple years ago, I started doing this presentation. It was based off a video that HPD SWAT put together called Run, Hide, Fight. It's been on the news lately. Y'all may have seen clips of it showing up, and y'all get to see that video this evening. With this, I've gone through some alert training. That's the police term that we use, acronym, but for active shooters that happen in schools. And what it is they get together in this conference and they start talking about what did we learn. They talk to people that have survived the Virginia Tech shooting, talked to the female, the very first one that's shown on CNN. The Sandy Hook, I've talked to the Newtown, Connecticut police force that responded, what their mistakes were, what they did right, and what they could do better. And taking all this information together, we're trying to get our citizens here. We've got our police department. We're working on a large-scale drill that Chief touched on a minute, where we set up a drill, fire department shows up, EMS shows up, we show up, we have actors in the building. We go through the scenario like it's real. And we want to make sure that we're prepared as best we can. I've done this active shooter presentation for every one of our city employees. Went through there and we thought we need to do this for the public as well, because, hey, this, like it says right here, it's the world we live in. Can you turn on the TV and not see about an active shooter? I'm going to show you some statistics in here in this PowerPoint that are from several years back. It goes up to 2013. But I'm going to tell you right now, in the conference that I was in November this year, they're saying now that this happens once a day somewhere in the world. It's pretty scary. So we're going to start off with saying, who are they? Who are these people that do this? Obviously we got the terrorists, we got ISIL, ISIS, whatever they're calling them. It could be a disgruntled employee. People with mental illness, estranged spouses, anti-government radicals, racists, social outcasts, which is what happened at Columbine. And they're usually always male. However, we're seeing now in the San Bernardino, there's a female involved. Well, ISIS is recruiting females now. So it's an ever-changing, ever-evolving thing, and we're trying to do our best to keep up with this. And we're trying to keep you informed with it as well. So really, it could be just about anybody, right? Who are they again? The FBI has defined active shooters as a person or people actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a populated area. It's different from a mass shooting incident, which included any shooting in which more than 3 people were killed. It also excluded domestic violence, drug and gang-related violence. There was 160 case studies done. 64 met the term of active shooter, much more now. What are the goals of an active shooter? They want to go in there and kill as many people as they can before they kill themselves. Are cowards. Okay? And it makes me mad. Sorry if passion shows up here. But it makes me mad when the news media says their name. They don't deserve that. Right? They're cowards. Anyway, they go in there to do this, to kill as many people as possible and kill themselves. They do it to create fear or terror, which is ISIS. To make a shocking exit for to be known around the world. The guy for the Air France that flew on the side of a mountain, he had told his girlfriend, the whole world's going to know my name one day. And this is how he decided to do it. Some people do it to seek revenge for being wronged. It could be a workplace deal. I show up at work and I sit here next to Bob all day, and all he does is talk about his family. He never asked me about mine. Mad at him. I asked her to go out with me. She told me no. She's probably a target. I think he ate my lunch the other day out of the box. My boss didn't give me that bonus that I think I deserve. You know what? I'm done. I'm at my wit's end. Could be anybody. And some will never know why. They go, they do their act of terror, their act of violence, and then they kill themselves, or law enforcement or a citizen ends up taking them out, and we never really truly know. The statistics from 2000 to 2013, like I say, this is the latest published by the FBI, so I wanted to give their stuff, and there's some other stuff that I can back this up with their studies. This was just released several months ago. Between 2000 and 2013, there's 160 incidents that were studied, including the Virginia Tech and Sandy Hook Elementary, U.S. Holocaust Memorial, Fort Hood, Aurora, Colorado. He, by the way, is an exception. He wanted to live. And let me touch base on that real quick. So this guy plans this out just because he's sick. He's mentally challenged, I guess. But he had booby-trapped his apartment with bombs. Cranks his radio up that he'd been doing for several weeks, so the neighbors kept calling on him for loud music. So he sets it with bombs, booby traps it, turns his radio up, gets in his car with all this stuff, and he drives over to the movie theater, and thinking that the neighbors have already called, the police are there, it's going to be a big boom, so all law enforcement resources go over there, and he can kill people in all 8 theaters. Well, he started shooting before the bomb went off. Okay? So all the law enforcement went there. Much to his surprise, he exited the building to go back out, we assumed to reload, to get more ammunition, and was confronted by law enforcement. Becoming far more frequent. The first 7 years of the study show an average of 6.4 annually, all the way up to the end, it's showing 16.4. It's way more than that now. 1,043 casualties, 486 were deaths. That's not including the shooters. All but 6 of them were males. 90 shootings ended on the shooter's initiative, the suicide or fleeing. 21 citizens were actually able to restrain the shooter. 45 were law enforcement had to engage the shooter to end the threat. 9 officers were killed and 28 wounded. 45% took place in commercial environment. 24 took place in educational environment. The rest of them were at the military bases, houses of worship, etc. This is from 1996 to 2006, all school shootings and stabbings. Pretty crazy. And that's 2006, so you know there's a whole lot more flags to go on there now. In Columbine, the chief talked briefly about how we get together, we take our deep breath, and then we'd go in, we'd get organized, have a plan. Well, we have a plan now that's already in place. It's in our policy. It could be me and the chief coming back from lunch, and they say there's a shooter in a building. Me and the chief will be the first ones in the door. They go hunt these people. The other people come in. 30 minutes for the SWAT team to enter Columbine. That's crazy. You know how many people died because of that? This is those lessons learned. It's not new. 1927, a school board member was mad about taxes. Kills his wife, burns his barn, drives to a school. 3 explosions, 45 dead, 58 wounded. The largest school attack in history still to this day. This is the slide that says change. It said that as of 2013, that there's one every 3 weeks. Okay, it's 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, coming up. 69% were over in 5 minutes or less. 36% were over in 2 minutes. 60% were over before police could even arrive. And that's an important thing to say because that's why you're here. I'm going to tell you what you can do to survive these things, okay? Even when law enforcement was present or able to respond within minutes, civilians had to make life and death decisions before we could even get there. So we're going to give y'all some education today. Half of the incidents ended with the shooter's initiative when the shooter committed suicide or stopped shooting or fled the scene. 30% 13% were successfully restrained by unarmed citizens, and 4% by armed. And again, the last day here, the last one they were saying it's one a day. Nearly half of them were at businesses or malls, a quarter at schools and universities, other 10% took place in government properties. The shooters were targeted current, estranged, and former wives, as well as former girlfriends. 12 incidences. The women were killed, and 3 that sustained significant injuries. Just a little bit on that. And during the course of them trying to kill their spouse, they decided to kill 28 other people too, and wound 42 others. Be vigilant. So it comes up that now, I get asked a question a lot of, I see this guy and he's all in his Muslim wardrobe, and, do I call in on him? Do I let law enforcement know there's a guy? Well, my thing is, what is he doing? What time of day is it? What time of night is it? Is he acting weird? Is he doing something that you perceive as threatening? You're in that place and you have to make that decision. But my thought is, it's better to be safe than sorry. San Bernardino, those neighbors saw those people making bombs and didn't call it in because they didn't want to be racist. Are you kidding me? Right? So be vigilant. Be aware of your surroundings no matter where you go, what you do. I joke a lot with the employees through the city when I was doing this program. I think it was because of my divorce. My wife was like, you're a cop like 24/7. Well, yes, it's there to protect you. Because we go to dinner, it's like a seating chart. And it was. I sat where I knew where the exits were. I knew where they were coming in. And you sit here, you sit here, you sit here, you sit here. And I've got my family protected. So if I have perceived a danger or threat, I've already got a plan. I'm shoving them out this door, I'm shoving them out that door, and I'm going to engage the target. So at that point again, who's ambushing who? The mall. Anywhere you go, you need to have a plan. Sitting in your office, do you know where your exits are? Do you know where you would hide inside your office if you got to shut the door, turn off the light, and lock it? What would you fight with? Grab a pair of scissors? Or just go ahead.
Is it safe to say that these locations are normally a place perceived to be a gun-free zone?
Bad guys don't pay attention to the law.
Oh, right, but I'm saying.
So,
it's the only place where people legally can't arm themselves anyway.
I don't know what the statistics on that are, to even comment on that, to be honest with you. I haven't even looked at it from that angle. But, it happens in government buildings, San Bernardino. I don't know if that was a no-gun zone. Schools are obviously no-gun zones. It happened there. So, I think it can happen pretty much anywhere. So don't fall into a false sense of security. We're going to go over that a little bit later, too. Which I'll get to that in a minute. So say something, right? If you go to work and you notice a behavior change in an employee, somebody you're there with, like I say, Bob's all of a sudden, man, he was this chipper guy. He comes in, his ties knees. Man, he's always dressed to the nine. And he starts coming in, he's real disheveled. He hasn't shaved in a few days. He's quiet now instead of being jovial. And he's just really kind of different. Something has changed. That's usually a red flag. So say something to your supervisor, and I tell supervisors through our city this, go engage a person and say, hey, Bob, man, how you doing? Man, I ain't talked to you in a month of Sundays. Let me tell you what, man, my son's 15 years old. He's taller than me, eating me out of house and home. Hey, it's enough about me, man. Everything going all right with you? How's life? Everything okay? It's inconspicuous. You've engaged him in something. Just talk about him and then refocus back on him. And he may tell you something's going on. And you might can stop something like this. Typically ladies, but I've seen men, victims of battered spouse. The ladies that come in, they have their shirts down here. Always wearing this, heavy makeup. They're the first ones at work. Last ones to leave. Why is that? Probably because that's where they're safe. Right? So these are things to look for. Things a lot of people just kind of put out, hey, man, she's just a dedicated employee. She may be a victim. Supervisor, say something, talk to your employee. And again, always be aware of your surroundings and have a plan. All right, how to survive an active shooter. There's no guarantees in any of this, and it's something that you're going to have to, you go to your office every day, you sit at your desk, you know what your office surrounding is. So So you're gonna have to make that decision of what the best plan is for you. But I can tell you something, you need to practice it, you need to train on it. I drove around a lot, I've changed holsters, and I walk around, because my life is doing sleeping this gun, it don't just come out. There's a trick to it. So I'd walk around forever, I was testing my gun, and I'd be in a group like this talking, and everybody's like, staring at my gun, and I'm like, oh my God, they think I'm gonna shoot them. But it's actually me getting that muscle memory, because I didn't even realize I was doing it anymore. You know, I was walking around, that was it, you know? So the repetitiveness, that's why law enforcement has training. That's why we can run to stuff like this and we can handle it. When most people, when it's chaos for y'all, it's a controlled chaos for us. We have a plan. So have a plan. That's the most important thing I can tell you. If you can get out, get out. The hero is the one that gets out first and calls us. Right? You're not a coward, you're a hero. The sooner we get there, the sooner we can end that threat and the more lives that are saved. Okay, so this, I gotta go back in and be the hero. That's not, if you may end up causing more people to get killed. If you can get out and call us. The run, hide, fight, which we're gonna watch that video here in a little bit. That's the first one, is run, get out. If you can't get out, you hide. You barricade your door, lock your door and lights, we're gonna go over some of that, and you prepare for the fight. And you have a plan in your mind. If he comes through that door and his gun's right here, I'm gonna hit the gun down, I'm gonna stab him with the scissors. You do that. That's your plan. If he comes through that door, that's what you do. You don't stop. Because you say, oh, my bad, you know, he's gonna kill you. You gotta go in survival mode. And again, have a plan everywhere you go. Malls, be aware of your surroundings. Anything's out of place, I mean, just be very aware. And never, ever, ever give up. There are people that I've talked to that survived active shooters. And they laid in there full of blood for 6 hours. Shot multiple times and survived. Playing dead. Don't you ever give up. You fight because they're not giving up. You fight to the end. That's what they brought to you. You finish the fight. The first officer to show up, we're going to move right past you. Because when we go in, I'm after the shooter. He's not going to shoot nobody else when I'm there. I'm going to find him, and I'm going to end it. So, first officer goes by, I mean, don't be grabbing at him. It's things like that. We can kind of laugh about some of that, but I don't know who the shooter is necessarily, because we may get a call, and I may have 5 different descriptions on this guy. Right? So that way, just keep your hands where we can see them. I think he went that way. We're already calling in that I've got casualties over here. Okay, so the second team that comes in will be escorting. As we go by you, that's now a warm zone. We cleared that. We don't think he's there. We're going to another part. Other officers are going to come in escorting paramedics to get you. It'll be the second group. And if you think that it'll never happen here, or it'll never happen to you, don't you think those people at San Bernardino went to a Christmas party? You think they expected this? The guy was there, got up, excused himself, and then came back and started shooting people. So don't ever think that it can't happen. Always have a plan to be ready.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference. Run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important, you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority.
Stop that guy! Stop that guy! Hey!
Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911.
Yes, sir. 1002 Washington, Richard Church, help us!
If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.
Let me tell you something. This guy's dressed in all black with a backpack, and not a single person noticed him. He walked past everybody. The false sense of security? Who's the first person he shot? Why?
Because he's been
He's the only one with a gun. It's his only threat. You know, you can go into banks and you see officers in there, they're working security, and, you know, I do bank robbery presentations too, and I tell them all, I say, you know, that's a false sense of security, because this to me is a target. This one goes first. So that's the be vigilant thing, that you're always on guard. And that's what we try to ingrain in officers when they first get new officers and everything else. Those of us been around forever and a day, my head's always on a swivel. Is there lapses in that? Sure. We're human. But the thing is to always be vigilant. So this guy walks in, and everybody felt safe. There's a security guard there, right? Wrong. All right, so the shooting starts, and everybody's scattered. People are getting out. Don't take the first ladies. He's not there for that. Okay? Leave your stuff. You can grab yourself on, that's cool. If not, hey, just get out. You're safe. As he's going to doors, you notice what he does when he gets to the locked door? He moves on. Why?
Waste of time.
Waste of time. He's looking for easy targets. So the lady with the copy room, she shut off the light. She got down there, silenced her phone, turned it off. Door's locked. Walked right on by her. It's the key to survival. Okay? That's the hide part. But she didn't have a plan to fight. If he'd have come in, I don't know. Now the poor lady that was knocked out, you just down one guy to help you fight, or a lady, but they had a plan. They were talking, signaling what they're going to do. I would have sprayed him with the fire extinguisher, right? Because you got to be able to see the fight, you got to be able to breathe the fight, and you got to be able to stand up to fight.
That doesn't mean he can't squeeze the trigger if you
Yeah,
will.
right. Well, you've got a plan. So I'm going to spray him in the face. You hit him with a chair. You grab the gun. You have a plan. You stick to it. There's a lot more than them than him, and I think they would have had a good chance. You know. So when you're in your office building, know where your exits are. If there's people here in the city of LaPorte, my email address is up here. I'll be happy to come to your office, your building's in there, and walk through and formulate a plan with you. I've done it for all the city buildings here. I've done it for several companies, chemical plants. Spent a great deal of time doing that. Our city has invested a lot of money getting these officers trained, all of our officers. And I'm going to say probably 95% of our officers have been through this type of training of how to respond to that. And I don't know how many other agencies have, but that's a pretty significant number. And it didn't take me a whole lot to get that done. I put a little pressure on it when I started going through. And the city manager, everybody's on board. Yes, we need to get this training done. We're here today. Yes, sir.
Does it have to be in the port? I work for a company in Pasadena.
Just get with me,
All right.
and we'll talk about it. There are some videos back here of this on the back table. You're welcome to take them. There's also some pamphlets when we're done here. You can take them, it has the same information, but you can take the videos that are there and share them at your work so they can go over some of that. So run, get out if you can, hide if you can't, and have a plan to fight, right? Go over it through your mind, and I highly encourage you to do it everywhere. It's like the seating chart at the restaurant, you know? I think just in today's society, it's what needs to happen. If you're shot, play dead. Okay? When the Virginia Tech shooting started, it had been going on for a while in the melee, and there was a male and a female survivor out of the first classroom that he went in that he shot. It's an ironic story how they got there. They were late and where she was sitting where she was, and it's not normally where she was sitting in this classroom. And the way the building was set up and designed, it was an older building, and it really didn't facilitate an escape route. So anyway, they were there where they were. The guy comes in and starts shooting. She just turns around. She took one in the back, and she just said, "I just kind of draped over my desk." And he shot her buddy that was there. Shot everybody in there actually. He leaves the room, and she's like, "Man, that hurts, but I can't move. I got to play dead. I still hear him shooting." Sure enough, he comes back in the room looking for survivors because he couldn't get in the other rooms. And they actually had some doors chained where they couldn't get out. But anyway, he comes back in the room and he just starts shooting again. And she was for the life of me, I don't know why I did it, but he shot and it went over my head. She goes, and I screwed up and I looked up. She took the second bullet. Played dead and survived it. Okay? Her buddy survived. So when CNN did the first thing, they're carrying a girl out in a white shirt, y'all Google it, whatever, that's her. And she's a survivor of it. Playing dead. CNN did a series that was on HBO, and I don't know if y'all have it, you can probably look it up, and they actually show actual footage, very graphic footage of active shooter events like in other countries, where they go in there and they're killing people because they're ISIS and everything else. Playing dead and hiding is the key. Okay? So, run, hide, fight, always have a plan, and never, ever, ever give up. All right? Anybody have any questions?
That's a lot, yes.
Yes, sir.
As a concealed carry or open carry, and if you're into this, run, hide, fight, now I don't have to fight. If you're in a mall with your family or whatever, then the police come in, what's my response? Me having a gun, being a good guy, and the police are coming in, so I don't get shot.
Well, I would do everything I told you to do. Okay? And that's a very good question because we don't know who the threat is, right? So we may get description. This guy's in all black. She's wearing all black. Okay, so we come in, you see law enforcement there, you put your gun down, say, I'm concealed carry, you went that way, he's wearing this, whatever. I mean, I can't give you a catch-all answer to that. Sure. Because everything's situational. You know what I mean? But definitely, if you see law enforcement go by, I would put my gun, unless you're engaged in I just don't know how to really give you a strong answer. And we're going to go over some of that in this next deal with the open carry. I'm sure we're going to get into some of those questions like that as well. Does anybody have any questions about what to do? So if you hear strange noises, pop, pop, what was that, a gunshot? You stick your head out the office and get blown off? Let's not do that. Okay? If something's just out of the ordinary, it's strange, it's odd, take it for that. And I'm going to tell you right now, trust your gut feeling. You hear a lot of officers talk about trust your gut, and you may hear that growing up. I've been shot at, and I trust my gut. Something told me I was going to be okay. So you just trust your gut. If something doesn't seem right, it's not right. Go from there.
What's the plan? Do you all report have a plan for the high school? Because every single classroom, you're putting a death zone. You're sitting there, and you're gonna get cold. Like either you run and it all goes to the same place, or you're dead because you're gonna be sitting in the same.
Well, we're actually in the process of working with the schools now to have a plan. I think the best thing to do in a classroom is shut the door, lock it, and barricade your door. I don't know. It depends on the room, right? So I would have to assess that room there. Things that have changed, and just so y'all know what he's talking about, you can take the belt off, and you can tie it around here, and it won't allow the door to open. Okay? So there's things that you can do in those situations, and some of it, like I say, there's not a catch. There's not there's a lot of questions of what is, we could what if anything to death. I would really have to see the room. So that's why I'm trying to tell you to be prepared and have a plan. You know your office better than anybody. You know your home. You know where you frequent. Look at your plans, look at your options, and you decide what the best thing to do is. Because I certainly don't want to tell you to do this, and then that be the wrong thing for that scenario. You know what I mean? Yes, ma'am.
So for the students that are here today, the best thing for them to do would be to go to their classroom, since there's nothing implemented, y'all are working on it, for them to kind of look at their classrooms that they're in and just kind of themselves, if there was a situation to arise, to say, okay, well, the best thing would be to close the door, barricade the door, and all of us just stay quiet, turn off the lights, and kind of calm each other down.
Well, I'm going to revert back to this. If you can get out of the building, get out.
Okay.
So if you're in the hallway just between classes, that's going to be chaos, right? So you got everybody trying to run and get away from everybody. I don't know that scenario. But if you're in a classroom and it's happening, you can hear it down the hall, you don't know where it's coming from. Those hallways echo. We practice in the schools, okay? So we use the high school when we do our alert training. I would say lock the door and start barricading the door and just everybody be quiet. If you're in a classroom and you don't know where it's coming from, that's probably the best thing. And everybody's got cell phones today. Do y'all know that you can text 911? So you can send a text message, 911. We're involved in an active shooter at Porte High School, B building, room whatever. And a dispatcher, and hopefully it hits our dispatch, but it could be Deer Park or whatever. But you told them exactly where you are. They'll call us, they'll notify us, and we'll go back. And they'll respond to you on that text. Okay? So it's kind of hard for me to tell you exactly what they're supposed to do because I don't know the scenarios. Is there 1 shooter? Is there 10 shooters? Is there, you're going to have a plan. Like I say, just try and think things out in your mind.
On campus.
Yes, ma'am.
That's our training.
Not at all schools. They're not. Now, all of our school resource officers are trained. They actually report to me, so you bet you they're trained.
Yeah.
So They're all trained. We don't have them in elementary schools, but we have them in junior high. We've already got a plan of what to do on that. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. But I'm going to tell you, in the event like that, why it's so important to get out and call us, okay? Because once you make that phone call and it comes into our dispatch, we have a shooter at the high school. We're not the only agency that listens to our channel. And I can assure you, it is going to rain police at that school. Okay? It is going to be DPS, Harris County Sheriff's Office, Precinct 8, Precinct 29, what, I don't know, Baytown, Seabrook, Kemah, LaPorte. I mean, it is going to be an amazing response, like it has to all these other ones. If you ever look at that when they're talking about the shootings and the camera and the helicopters zoom out, and you look at all those lights. You know, Newtown, Connecticut, when that school happened, I think they had 20 officers. And did you see all the cops that were out there? So it's going to be a massive response. That's why that first call, getting out, is so important. You know? Why it's so important. Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, a lot of concern about the schools and everything, the elementary schools do have drills, like every 3 months.
Good.
So the kids that are starting growing up, coming to the school, they're going through drills in elementary. They don't do it junior high, don't do it in high school, but they are implementing that to help teach them.
And again, we are working towards the school district. We've been talking with them, doing some type of drill with them. And, you know, but the school, I mean, they're really, you know, got their curriculums and everything, so we're trying to figure out the best way to fit this in. But we are working on that. So that is definitely something we're addressing. Well, you know, that's,
Survival or
she's
something.
got a good point. So those of you that travel through your office, you know, I mean, so in this room, where would you hide? Well, yay, all right. Good answer. So you can't get out, so that's the obvious place to hide. So when you walk through, you have several different rooms. You may notice, hey, there's a podium here I could get behind and to be real still. The grad assistant, when he comes around, you know, you're going to have to, I would assess every room.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just what I do.
Also,
So-
I'm thinking that it would be good to change the doorknob so they, all the offices lock, so you can lock yourself in.
And make sure you know how to lock them, because he
Yes.
taught me how to lock my door because I died in our drill, like that. Had no idea how to lock my door, so
I have no idea how much fan mail I got for that.
yeah, I know. So make sure you know how to lock your door, because I didn't know how to lock
A
it.
simple bathroom door,
Well, I mean, talk with your employer what they're willing to spend, and like I say, if y'all have something in the floor, I would like to try and work here. I'll be happy to come to your office and I can talk to whoever's in charge and hey, make some recommendations on what locks and stuff to get. I'd be really, really happy to do that. So I've done it for quite a few already, and the more the merrier. But I would go every room that I spend time in at my office. I would have a plan. And they went so far at Albemarle plant when I was doing this for them that they have big windows in every office. That they went and bought window punches and screwed them on a chain to the bottom of the window so they can walk up, punch the window, and get out. Because their building was literally a death trap. And they went and purchased and did all that. So a lot of employers are willing to work with you and everything else, and some places have more money than others. But, you know, like I say, just have a plan. And I'd have a plan in your scenario for every room that I'm in. If this happens, what am I going to do? And we're real good here in LaPorte with our training to respond quickly. I don't know if y'all remember, not long ago, there was a guy, FBI was tapping his phone that he was going to go to a school and shoot a bunch of kids, and they pinged him all the way to LaPorte. And we got him at a hotel over here before he could do anything. So don't think it can't happen. You know, I really appreciate this many people being here tonight. I'm going to be honest with you. And I hope y'all spread this out. We're going to have this posted again on our Facebook page and on the city website. Refer some people. Take a video, please. Give it to your kids, neighbors, whatever. I'm sure I'll probably be doing a few more of these. And there's 1,000 questions, I know. If you have something specific, you're in there, feel free. My email is also up here, stuartl@portetx.gov. Shoot me an email. Give me some time to get back with you. I keep you pretty busy here. But I can definitely get a response back to you as quick as I can. And maybe you can come to your place of employment and do a walkthrough through your building and help everybody.